If you're trying to build a bunch of buildings in your village, you might well have discovered that you haven't got enough resources for crafting purposes, and it takes ages to build particular buildings because of specific requirements. I'm going to show you a trick to gather those resources more effectively. Now, you know that you can recruit an army from your villagers, turn them into companions, and then take them to war with you, fighting off bandits and brigands and making the world a bit more peaceful, dealing with all these enemies in a much more effective way than on your own, increasing your renown and recruiting more villagers and then expanding your village. But then you obviously have to build more buildings to progress in the game. But the good news is you can use the villagers in other ways as well. So if you set an army of companions, you can actually tell them to do various different things. So press E to give them an order and then click on a specific thing. You can see that you can get them to harvest mushrooms. This is really useful along with harvesting berries to keep them fed. But if you go to somewhere like this, where you've got a location where there's loads of wheat growing, you can actually set the companions to harvest that wheat for you, collect a load of it, and then obviously it can be taken back to your village, turned into straw, and then crafted into thatch. And this is much easier than collecting it on your own, and it seems to be more effective than setting some villagers to go and collect it themselves, because obviously what you're doing is you're collecting with a large group. You can see I've got 16 companions with me here, potentially. There's a few of them missing at the moment, but you can see just how fast they smash through collecting this wheat, going through the process of gathering it. Now, I would recommend that you make sure they've got a large bag when doing so, so equip them with the biggest bag you can. You can start off with a small bag and then expand a bit later on with larger ones. But what you'll find is they'll soon stop working if their bag fills up. So you can see this person doesn't have a bag. Their inventory's full. However, if you empty their inventory into your own, you can then give them an order and they'll carry on harvesting. So this is one way to deal with that. You can keep them working like this. Now, obviously, you can gather these resources on your own as well, but it's much more effective to do it with a whole group of companions because you can gather all these resources and then take them back to your village. The other thing that you can do once you get back to the village is you can actually get them to deposit those resources away as well. So if you've got a barn or a storage area, so you can get barns, warehouses, and storage boxes in the game, you can set your companions to go and deposit the things by just aiming at the barn, and then it says interact with warehouse or item, and then what they'll do is they'll go through and they'll automatically deposit what they've collected. So in this case, you can see them putting the wheat away into the barn, and then obviously it can be picked up by the delivery people and used for crafting. Now, you can use this same logic to also harvest wood. So I need a lot of hardwood logs for my village construction. If you take the villagers out as companions with you, you can find some hardwood logs in an area. Farmworth has a lot of it around there, for example. You can then get them to harvest that. Now, one downside to this is that you do need the more advanced axes. So the simple axe won't work with this. So you'll see some of these villagers just aren't working because they don't have the right equipment for doing this. So you need the bigger and better axes and the more advanced rugged one and the fine axe. And the villagers need to also be able to use those. Some of the villagers just can't use those tools unless they're at a certain level. But if they are, you can then order them to collect the hardwood logs from there. They'll chop down the trees for you. You can see a lot of them going to work here collecting those logs. You can apply the same logic I showed you before as well. You can go into their inventory and you can remove the logs from their inventory, put it in your own if you've got bigger bags than they have, and then they'll carry on collecting, and you can gather a lot of hardwood logs, go back to your base and deposit it. This logic can be used for a lot of different things in the game. It makes it easy to collect loads of things really quickly, so hopefully this helps. Check out the full playlist and my other tips and tricks videos to see even more tips for Bellwright. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks for watching.